Oops. Hey, sixth grade. How are you? We got ourselves a quick little lesson. This one should not take too terribly long. I'm going to present my screen. You are going to take out a blank piece of paper. It should be fun and exciting for you. And on top of that blank piece of paper, you are going to write parallelograms. Parallelograms. And under parallelograms, we are finding the area of parallelograms. Now remember what a parallelogram is. I believe the only definition of a parallelogram, first of all, it is a quadrilateral. It's a four-sided shape. Let's just draw three different ones as best we can. I want you to take a little time and try to draw these nicely. Okay, the first parallelogram, the parallelogram's definition is that it just has two sets of parallel sides. That's not the best I've done there, but I'll leave that as one. But this is a rectangle, but it is a type of parallelogram, so it works. Usually, though, when we think of a parallelogram, we think of this kind of shape. We have a parallel line there and a parallel line here, and then these sides are connected. That's our usual thought of a parallelogram, and it could go the other way too. Your parallel lines could go kind of squash like this and squish like that. Okay. Now, fortunately, ladies and gentlemen, remember when we talk about area, we're talking about how many squares of a certain size. You know, if this was this parallelogram, let's say it is a 3 inches by 5 inch parallelogram. We've already done area of rectangles. Okay, area of a rectangle is length times width. And it would be, you know, you'd cut this, it's 3 inches this way, and it's 5 inches this way. And if you multiply the 3 times the 5, you get 15 square inches or inches squared. Now, when you get to areas of parallelograms, okay, this is a specific parallelogram, but for all parallelograms, you need to use this formula. Write this down in big words here. The area of a parallelogram equals base times height. I probably should write that out. Let's spell that out here. So area equals base times height. Now, why do we say base times height and not length times width? Well, just like we'll get to in triangles, when you talk about base and height in math, these two things, the base and the height, must be what we call perpendicular to each other, or another way to say that is they must form a right angle. They have to form a right angle. So let's say this is my parallelogram, and if I say that this is, oh, let's go 4 centimeters and this is 8 centimeters. If I asked you to find the area of this parallelogram, you cannot do it. Not with the information as it is right now. Simply because to find the area, you need 2 lines that form a right angle, and none of these angles here are right angles. So what the book will have to do, or what you'll have to look for, is at somewhere in some point they are going to have to give you a dashed line that gives you a square corner that has another dimension to it. Let's say this is 3 centimeters. Okay, now you have 2 lines that form a right angle. You have this line and you have this dashed line here. So the formula that you would use, area of this would have to equal 3 times 8, base times height. This 4 you do not need. You do need it if you were finding perimeter, because perimeter would still be 4 plus 8 plus 4 plus 8. But for the area, it has to be this. It has to be base times height, and those two have to form right angles. So your area is going to be 24 centimeters squared. Okay, please understand that. And the reason why you don't need any more information for the rectangle is because those corners already were square corners. So you could call this the base and the height because of them being square corners. But over here, this one is not. You must be given one. Same thing with this ugly looking parallelogram that I drew right here. Okay, if I just gave you this as being 8 inches and this is being 12 inches, maybe I should write 12. And this is being 12 inches, that is not enough information to find the area of that parallelogram. At some point and somewhere, and sometimes they'll do it like this, you know, they could extend this line out like this, and then they could make this go straight up, which I wish I could do, and they'll give you a square corner here. Okay, and then maybe this is 6 inches. Okay, what two lines, if you're finding the area, which is base times height, always write that formula down. What two lines form the right angle? That would be this line is forming a right angle with this line. So this would be the same as this, and you would multiply 12 times 6 to find the area, base times height. And the area of that would be 72 inches squared. You see if they give you anything any more complicated than that. And the other thing that they give you, in case we haven't talked about it, is in parallelograms. In parallelograms, let's go down to the bottom over here. Let's just make sure we know if we have a parallelogram. Let's say this is labeled as A, B, C, and D. Just making sure when we talk about angles, angle B and angle D are what we call opposite angles. They are opposite, as would angle A and angle C. They're opposite. And I guess the important thing to know about those opposite angles are in a parallelogram, opposite angles are equal. Okay, opposite angles are equal. I can't remember if we talked about that or not before, but I see it kind of comes up in conversation there. So like I said, the book is going to ask you for both area and perimeter. Make sure if you're using area, you're finding the two that form the right angle. Perimeter is just adding the stuff that goes around there. Well, hopefully 6th grade that will make some sense to you. Hopefully that'll get you to the place where you need to be. And I hope you have a good day.